go strictly with the YouTube and the Facebook joints. So
All right, brother.
Oh, I see you now.
let's take a look. I'm just waiting for it to show me that it's official. Oh, that's it. That's all I was looking for right there to see that we live in effect. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna wait a little bit to see, let the people come in, people come in there. So just so well, for the live purposes and after the replay, um Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. Of course,
Mm.
I'm going to ask you to follow Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, so subscribe. Um, Follow, like, share, subscribe, because tonight is going to be a very powerful conversation because I
Mm.
have some heavy hitters here when it comes to this
No pun intended,
conversation.
Anthony.
You know what I'm saying? So Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, as like I always say, we're here to uplift humanity, but we are also here to assist and help waking up the melanated, woolly-haired beings that have been asleep for quite a while. And I'm very happy to see they're starting to wake up. And like I said, always, people always ask me why I have such a diverse guest on here, such a diverse
Mm.
topics. Just read the book, you know what I mean? Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. All the answers are in there for you, you know, because yeah, it's a lot to talk about, a lot of experience in life. But I'm gonna say two amazing guests. Y'all probably seen them before on the Melanated music episodes. Um, Two of these individuals um, have played key factors in my musical life and career. My man T, Anthony, I'm gonna let them both introduce themselves. When I was in Richmond, he took me under his wing and the crew of brothers. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have, independent slash Amol Nine and Nubatomic. Well, actually, when I moved down to Atlanta after Anthony in Richmond, I met the man Larry right here. And Larry is another reason why, one of the main reasons why you have Amol Nine and Nubatomic. Real talk. Um, he took me under his wing as a new person coming out of Atlanta, and he showed me what was going on a very organic level. It was a beautiful thing, and I appreciate that from both of y'all brothers.
Hey,
Um,
thank you for having us.
but I'm gonna go ahead and Larry, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, what you got going on, and T, you can go ahead and follow him.
Okay, my name is Larry Eaglin. Reading is fundamental. Eaglin, that's the way it's pronounced. No, it's not a common last name, but I am 23 years radio vet at WRFG 89.3 FM here in Atlanta, 100,000 watt station FM. Um, we're a multicultural radio station, which means we air everything from blues to bluegrass, Caribbean music, African music, a whole lot of soul, Latin music, hip hop, and we air progressive information. Basically, information that is not, uh, it's pretty much denied access to mainstream media. And I can give you plenty of examples for that. However, again, I've hosted a blues show there for about 23 years. I'm on Wednesdays, 8 until 10 a.m., WRFG.org if you'd like to stream it in the Atlanta metropolitan area. The frequency is 89.3 FM megahertz. Also, I've served on the board of directors there. I've served on the executive committee there. I've been the event coordinator, putting on events such as Wednesday Wind Down, which was a concert series in downtown Atlanta for a number of years in Centennial Park. I worked with the Atlanta Jazz Festival as well on behalf of the radio station WRFG. I also have been the director of marketing and promotions for Will Be Records for the last 15 years, still doing that. Will Be Records is the label founded by the legendary William Bell, who was the first male act signed to Stax Records. And being that we're pretty much a mom and pop operation, I've worn a lot of hats besides, marketing and promoting music. And I just do a plug. His what I call his magnum opus, look it up, it's a culmination of all your previous works. It's due out April 14th. And it's entitled One Day Closer to Home. So be on the lookout for that. Oh, WilliamBellMusic.com as well. Also, one more thing. I wrote a screenplay, and it's called Stagger Lee's Good Time. Stagger Lee is the on-air moniker that I've used for the last 23 years. Actually given to me by a guest we thought was going to be here, Kennito, Kenneth Murray. Anyway, I don't know if anyone's familiar, or everybody's familiar with the song Stagger Lee, or the various renditions of the song Stagger Lee. But he was actually a real person, Lee Shelton. So the screenplay is in regards to his life. So I'm shopping that right now. And that wraps it up for me right there. Yeah, as far as the introduction.
All right, T, what you got, brother?
You know who I am, Zos. I'm Anthony Gregory from Chester, Virginia. Originally resides in Richmond, Virginia. I have done a little bit of everything in the music field, from production to stage managing to guitar tech, drum tech, bass tech. I started in the early 90s playing bass with Rosmel from AAE in Richmond, Virginia. Was able to also play with Drummy Zeb for a while from Razor Posse. Spent some great years playing bass on the reggae circuit with those brothers. That was one of the highlights of my very early life playing music. And then, mid 90s come around, Zoser, and I run into you. I'm doing Armwood and just trying to stretch my wings out, man, and show the world what we do music-wise. I parlayed that into a real want and desire to stay in the music field. So I bulked up my skills and went out on the road and did some touring with my brother Rich Lidge, originally from the East Coast, who settled out west. Took me under his wing and took me on the road and showed me how to really get it in and make that life something that could be sustainable and put that bread in my pocket and show me what the world was all about. So went out there, did some great touring, toured with everybody did Warp tours, was blessed to be able to tour with the brothers from Fishbone, did some stuff with Better Than Ezra, bounced around with MKTO, my boy Tony Aller, and my homeboy Malcolm Kelly. That was some beautiful stuff. And I ended up being stage manager for Akon for the past 12 years. And that has been an amazing experience, because working with that brother, you just move, and you move in a way that it's, Dubai one day and it's Jordan the next day, and then it's London the next day, and then you just you keep doing the thing. So that's really me, man. I'm a bass player. I play some guitar. I love Black music, man, and it doesn't matter what music that is, because Black music is all music. So
right on.
Hip hop, rock, country, classical, new wave, punk. It doesn't matter, man. We encompass that the global thing that is called music. We have a hand in all of it. So Black music is all of that for me. So that's me. I'm Anthony Gregory. I'm a lover of music, and I'm here to talk to y'all about that today. That's what it is.
Well put. I can't wait on the book, man.
I know, right?
I hope somebody give me a chance to write one.
Hey,
Yes, indeed.
you just got a hint right there, buddy. Get your pen and paper out.
Brother Zoe,
Yo,
I like to speak on the inspiration for bringing up this topic to you.
okay.
In regards to intellectual properties. I was flipping through channels several weeks ago, sometime last year, and ran across the channel The Grill. Y'all familiar with the griot?
I have not heard of the grill.
Mm.
Okay, Byron Allen's channel. You know Byron
Okay.
Allen? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
Amazing.
so there's a program on that particular channel hosted by one-time political analyst. I think he was let go. He had some issues with some of the major television stations. Anyway, Mark Lamont Hill. Um,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right. So now he's got his own show on the grill. Great, fantastic show. Um, and they had this brother on. His name is Lamont Torrey Stapleton, who had a good friend of his pass away. And then to honor his good friend, and I think his friend either committed suicide or died of a drug overdose. But in tribute to his friend, he created a T-shirt, which simply was a black T-shirt, which simply read "Free," Free, in white letters. So some time passes, and he starts getting these getting tagged, like in photos, and getting texts congratulating him on how his shirt has blown up. So he's getting tagged in like these photos of like quote unquote Kardashian parties, and all of these celebrities are wearing these free shirts, from Kim Kardashian to Sean Puffy Combs, Kanye, as a matter
Oh,
of fact.
wow. Wow.
So
They're free.
and he's kind of confused because he created a shirt, wore it to. He lives out on the West Coast, but wore it to a one of the Hollywood parties, and from there it kind of took off without his knowledge. Fast forward a few months, next thing you know, there's a company called Balenciaga. I think I'm pronouncing that right. They have the T-shirt for sale without his knowledge or permission for like $800 something on their website. So I found that quite disturbing, actually, because he had no knowledge. Nobody came to him for permission, although it was his idea. However, his idea was stolen because it was not protected, although it was his intellectual property. So that's when I reached out to you, Joe, almost immediately after watching that, and said, "Wow, this is something I really like to talk about." And because although his circumstance came out of his fashion design, for lack of a better term, it pretty much this practice of stealing and profiting off of intellectual individuals, particularly Black folks' intellectual properties, has a history, particularly in this country and well throughout the world, actually. In this case, music as well. But so that's what inspired this particular conversation, and just want to clear up what intellectual property is. By definition, it refers to creations of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs and symbols, names and images used in commerce. So again, although his situation involved a fashion creation, this is like the history of our peoples. When I say people, our people, Black people's contributions in this country, whether it be fashions, our language, which is marketed after being criticized, our music, especially the way our swag,
Yeah.
short, and it's being monetized without our permission,
Hmm.
and it's almost like we're being locked out, kind of like and I'll wrap my this introductory section segment up, kind of like, and Anthony, this probably speaks to you. You've been on tour and stage managed and all of that, and you know how the tours work and the companies involved. Kind of like the way uh, the template for the Chitlin circuit was stolen around the time of integration,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
once that happened, they took that and locked us out. So
Yep.
now the Live Nations and all of them, they ain't messing with us really,
Yep.
Hmm.
in regards to booking us to tour or any of that. So anyway, so that's
Well,
my
well,
introduction.
I got a question, Larry, and it's gonna
Sure.
be for you specifically because I know you're a historian, man. You like an encyclopedia when it comes to this. So when it comes to the time frame going back to early blues, the first recording and stuff,
Mhm.
when was it in which the these record labels started hearing this music and started completely take full advantage of these musicians? What was that time frame? And what, like, if you can paint a picture of how that looked like, how did that go down?
Yeah, we're looking at the turn of the last century,
Hmm.
right? So late 18, post Reconstruction America,
Hmm.
basically into the early 20s. Um, and what happened was uh, uh, the powers that be, the marketing masters, as I like to call them,
Hmm.
realized that there was a market to sell records to a black audience. But to differentiate their customers, they called them race records.
Mm.
Okay, race records.
So
Uh,
real quick, so this is the beginning of the regime. When we talk about, I guess I have to
pretty much
clarify.
that's
Yeah, okay. Well, I have to
documented.
clarify when I say the regime because, like we were saying earlier, like or this we were gonna throw, um, we're gonna talk about the music industry as a whole, how it just pushes people, like Elvis, all these people like Justin Timberlake, all this, you know, this just pushes this regime, this the people behind it that pushes all of this stuff that makes the Live Nation, like you said, shuts everybody out.
Hmm.
The name that we call it between us, is the regime. So that's why I'm asking. So this is the beginning of the regime. Is that correct?
Hmm. As that's documented.
Documented. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So race records. All right. Please continue.
Yeah, I mean that's you asked me when did this
Uh,
uh what's the word I'm looking for,
Abomination.
this huh
Practice.
I said
No, it's the
abomination.
practice.
exploitation, when did this
Yeah.
Yeah,
exploitation
it was
begin?
a practice
Yeah,
of
there, that's
exploitation.
documented.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exploitation. Yeah. So it's
yeah.
okay. So that makes perfect sense. Um. Okay. And all right. So then the question is, since we're in this time frame,
Hmm.
when was it? Okay, so you had your race records, right?
Hmm. Okay.
And when were the people starting to imitate, like, Caucasians started imitate us? When was that? Was that what was that? When did that start? As far as was that like the rock and roll era? Like, when did that start?
Well, no, actually, that goes back to the creation of what was called jazz music.
Okay.
But just backing up, all of the categories, the different categories for genres of music, was pretty much a marketing tool.
Yeah.
As far as black folks was concerned, you know, uh, you know, there was only one type of music. It was good music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
and the white folks too.
Hmm.
Because country music. People that listen to country music were well versed in gospel music, were well versed in the blues, were well versed in, ragtime.
Hmm.
So it was all interrelated, and it is still all interrelated.
Hmm.
All American
Yeah.
forms, I mean, all forms of American popular music are all interrelated. But the marketing masters again came in to exploit, and to
Hmm.
in separating uh, or creating categories, they could direct uh, certain records to certain audiences
I got
and
you.
and capitalize on
Yeah,
these audiences.
they
And
chopped
on
it
the
up.
flip side, race records. You had race records, and they had what they called the hillbilly records,
Hmm.
which was considered a derogatory term as well.
Right.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, both were wiped away uh, simultaneously, and uh, race records became rhythm and blues. Hillbilly records became country and western.
Mm,
Right.
You know, but they happened simultaneously.
I got you. Yeah, they just came and sliced
This
and
was
diced and
this was the first inkling of integration.
yeah, I got you. That makes
Yeah,
perfect sense.
yeah,
You know, I'm
and
gonna.
that's
I'm see. I,
and
hmm
that's when
Go
you
ahead.
had like the uh, you talk about the imitators or white
Hmm.
artists being pushed or put out
Hmm.
front singing material written and created by black folks. You
Hmm.
know,
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Pat
Um,
Boone,
Pat
yeah.
Boone,
Elvis,
Elvis.
on up to
Hmm.
Elvis, and still happens actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the idea of the 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 contest, the singing like it began. It continued with American Idol.
Hmm.
It continues through this day. That's all marketing to raise white entertainers to the level of, hey, this is the bar to reach. So there's a
Yeah,
whole generation of black youth who are looking at that thinking that that's the bar to reach, and that's not
yeah,
true. You know,
yeah, yeah.
you the creations the the creations are in your DNA.
Hmm.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
backwards. That's flipped.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's still happening. It's still happening.
it
It's
it
still
it's
happening.
it's very important that we have this conversation today because a lot of people don't talk about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people don't go and don't know the history behind it. They don't know, how it all works. They just see this cookie cutter commercial thing when they, go on to Spotify and all they see it, and they don't know how it trickles down to everything we're talking about right now.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
and this is this I'm happy. That's why I love have these shows because they're documented as facts, and these facts that's why I like Larry building because he got the receipts and he got the knowledge. You know what I'm saying, just in his cranium. But okay, so it's interesting. Now we get to let's kind of talk about. Well, I'm gonna jump forward a little bit to like Black Rock. You know what I'm saying, as they
Hmm.
like to call it. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, Now, they call it Black Rock, but the creators were of rock and roll were black. So how in the world did it go from, rock and roll, which we created, to black rock? What's that? I mean, I tell you, you might want to talk about
Well,
that as well.
and look, okay, so let's just if we could clarify some things, let's just get them
Hmm.
straight.
Yeah, let's
They
do it.
don't call it black. They don't call it black rock. We
Mm.
call it
Yeah.
black rock.
Hmm.
We call it black rock. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest. All right.
Hmm.
And my brother Larry, he knows history. The term Negro, the term Black, the term African American. All of those terms were actually terms that we dubbed onto ourselves. We dubbed it Black Rock. Trying to niche out a space that we were kind of kicked out of. you
Mm.
know I my take on the conversation you guys were having about the what did you guys call it?
The
It-
regime.
yeah, the regime.
Hmm.
All right, so this might sound crazy. We had a better chance back then, from then all the way maybe up until the early 90s. Now we're not going to have a chance at all, almost. And here's
Hmm.
the reason why.
Mm.
Back in the day, there was local radio, there was all these entities, there was A-list theaters, B-list theaters, C-list theaters, and then there was punk
Mm.
theaters. Come on, man, we know how this thing goes. But now what has happened is um the Clear Channel, the Radio Ones, all of these things have bought up all of these theaters. And now, in order to even be on the circuit, you have to be a part of that machine
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
order to even be a part of it. And
Yeah.
that is why, honestly, we need to go back to the days of pirate radio. We need
Mm.
to go back to the days of small clubs, people who will actually open a club with the intention on highlighting and focusing on art, maybe some food and music of the local community. Because, dude, is in my eyes, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. But the way I see it is this: when you have all these different record companies and you have all these different radio stations and you have all these different avenues that you can travel down, well, that's an information highway that's almost endless.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we have is this one highway that everybody got to get on
Mm-hmm.
and try to get to the same destination.
Mm.
So I
Well,
got another question on
Mm.
that. Okay, so you know the when you go to get music now, like we were talking earlier offline, it's like we were listening to Spies on Spotify, right?
right, right, right.
Nobody goes to the record stores hardly or vinyl to get the music. Nobody's all record dump companies are asking artists for 360 deals. You know what I'm saying?
So, okay,
Um,
okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to jump you. We
mm,
did that to ourselves again.
mhm,
We did it to ourselves
Yeah.
again.
mhm.
And, hey, look,
Well,
man, and this is just the reality. We wanted, well, not we, because we loved going to pay for music because we understand the art of making music.
Mm.
Because we wanted the album cover, we wanted the
mhm,
T-shirt, we wanted the whole experience. So going to the record store was our thing. What
mhm,
happened was, man, and let's just go on and call it, Napster came around and that dude was like, oh, look, I can share music with everybody and blah, blah, blah. And
mhm,
everybody all of a sudden started thinking music was disposable. Oh,
Mm.
music should just be free and everybody should just be able to share it and hear it
mhm,
and blah, blah, blah. And now look what has happened.
Mm.
Artists
mhm,
are getting paid pennies on the dollar trying to get their music out there, putting it on Spotify. Why?
mhm,
Because there's no other avenue for them to go down in order
mhm,
to get the
Yeah.
local shine, the regional shine, the East Coast shine. Because, dude, all of these people are now funneled into Radio One, all these major capitalistic companies.
mhm.
We gotta go back. We gotta go back underground and punk with all of this if anybody's gonna have a chance to survive, man. Because sooner or later, it's gonna be one company, and that one company is gonna be like, "This is what you guys get to listen to."
Yeah.
Hey,
It's interesting because like I know certain bands that I know personally, and it because it's like a yeah, you got the regime and you have to plug into regime to be successful to a certain level, you know what I'm saying? You ain't going to, get no Grammys on this stuff if you don't, if you're not in that thing. But now because of the breakup, uh, um, it seems like if you have good music and you do kind of like old school tactics, you hit the road, you get on tours, you put your music out there, you know what I'm saying? And you're consistent, when you got a good product, you can, as an independent artist, you have a better chance making it as an independent artist now as opposed to back then. Correct?
that is Zoza. That is a very good statement. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing about that.
Uh-huh.
What are the chances of that happening if you already broke? I'm not trying to be funny, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but you have to have a certain amount of startup money to even
Mm-hmm.
be able to get out there on the road and
Mm-hmm.
do that thing.
Yeah,
And
that's true. That's true. And that's
it,
where the record companies come in because they
right,
they they
and
give you
and
them you get your own money to start your startup.
right, right, right. Oh, you need a manager. You know,
Mhm.
here, let me give you the startup money, but remember, you got to pay me this money back at this
Mhm.
interest, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I don't think people understand, man. They get in. This is the music business.
Mhm.
It's music
Yeah.
business, you know, and there are people out there where it is more business to them than it is about the music.
Mm.
Come on,
Mhm.
man. We want, this kind of, we were talking about intellectual properties and all that type of stuff earlier. This is the thing. If I could say anything to any new artist, I don't care if you're doing hip hop, rock, country, I don't care
Mhm.
if you play claves, what it is. I don't care if you paint, you do sculptures, whatever. Copyrights, trademarks, you got to make sure that you own everything that is yours. And then you cannot sell yourself short when somebody dangles a bag in front of you and says, hey, check
Yeah.
this bag out though. If you just turn all of that over to me, I'll give you this bag and you'll be good. Well, you sound crazy because, all right, so let's say the bag is, we're gonna pay you 3 million, but you turn everything over to us. Well, you willing to give me 3 million
Mm.
and I turn everything over to you, well then shit, this shit gotta be worth 9, 10 million.
Thank you. Exactly.
Right. So why would you even
Mhm.
ever
Yeah, the
turn
math
over
has been
any
done.
of your intellectual property? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Mhm.
honest with y'all. I don't think our brothers and sisters do the diligence and the
Mhm.
homework to understand copyrights, trademarks,
Mhm.
all of those things. You got to have them in
Mhm.
place before you go sit down with a company because they see you coming. Oh, they ain't got none of
Mhm.
this. They ain't got none of this copyright. Oh, they ain't got a trademark for this logo over here. As soon as you walk in and you walk out, there's a dude who's doing this. Okay, no trademark on the logo. Let's go get a trademark on the logo. Okay, they need a
Mm.
copy on this. They don't have copyright for this. Let's go on and get a copyright for this. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like you said, Larry, dude's t-shirt all of a sudden popped up and a different company was selling it. And you
Yeah.
know why they were able to do that?
Because he
Because
wasn't
somebody
protected.
looked up and realized he didn't have a trademark for the font that he was using. He didn't have a trademark for the logo. And
Yeah.
they said, "Oh, well, let me go ahead and do that real quick."
Mm-hmm.
Boom, it's
Mm-hmm.
ours.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And and so it's a with the information, the vast amount of information that we have via the web, we have to do our homework,
Mhm.
because I mean, really, there's no excuses
Yeah.
nowadays.
Exactly.
Uh, but again, this is historic. I got T-Bone Walker right behind me. I'm wondering what his estate is worth and who controls the estate.
Yeah.
I know, unfortunately, that there are countless black artists who have influenced what we call rock and roll, R&B, jazz, all of that, whose families, whose descendants are not getting any of that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
However, whoever was managing then, or whoever owned the studio, who was signing their name as writers to these songs and didn't write a damn thing,
Mhm.
but who understood the business, their families are still collecting residuals off of that.
Yeah.
I
Whoever
guarantee you.
owns the
That's
publishing,
huh? What? Well,
whoever
the
owns
publishing.
that
Now that's
publishing,
that's the mailbox money, the publishing,
yeah, come
writers
on,
and
man.
Yeah.
and they understood that. When we didn't then. You know. Now and I don't blame anyone for not knowing now. However, just words to the wise. There's a wealth of information out there, and it's free to
Yeah.
get BMI and ASCAP or CSAC. It's
Mhm.
free. It's all
Hey,
no. You know
Larry.
what? I'm wrong. There's a one-time fee. However, it's a lifetime. It's for a
Yeah.
Right.
lifetime, one-time fee. So it's not
It's not expensive either.
annually. Exactly. exactly.
Watch this, Larry. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I do blame you if you don't know now, because there's a wealth of information out there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
Get
yeah.
are
off your
walking
ass.
around with this.
Get off your
Well,
ass
look,
and
we
read.
got this thing in our hand, and got a whole computer in our hand, and we are
Yeah.
playing TikTok.
Yeah, yeah,
It-
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
and
the interesting thing,
yeah.
see, and y'all get real good points because even as I'm sure two of our favorite artists, well, best well-known artists, some well-known artists that we know and the world loves, I should say. When Prince starts talking about this and
Mm,
brings it to the
ooh,
forefront, you know what I'm saying?
prime example.
He's writing slave on his
Please,
face. He's doing all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? People like, some people get it and some people don't, obviously. And you got Michael Jackson that got it. And he's sitting there saying, yeah, well, I'm, they're mad at me because I own so and so because he knew the business.
Mm,
You know what I'm
right,
saying? And
right.
then, next thing you know, and I'm not going down the conspiracy hole, not on this one, but
I got you.
next thing Michael Jackson's hemmed up for something. Prince is now they say he's a druggie. Next thing they know, everybody's dead. You know what I'm saying? And they're
In
voicing,
similar fashion.
yeah, exactly,
Hmm.
and voicing. You know what I'm saying? Voicing the same thing, just about what we're talking about right now, owning your stuff. And let me say this, in addition, because everybody knows, if you don't know, right, Frank Zappa, I love Frank Zappa. That's my dude. Love him to death. You know what I'm saying? That's one of my favorite artists. Steve Vai was talking recently. I saw him on YouTube, and he was like, when Steve Vai was 20 years old, he's talking to Frank Zappa, and he's like, went up to Frank Zappa and was like, you know, Frank, tell me what I need to know about the music industry. And he's like, Steve, I was like, he was waiting to hear all this, guru stuff. And Frank Zappa was like, yeah, learn about publishing. You know what I'm saying? Own your own stuff. Long story short, Frank
That's right.
Zappa, I think it recently got sold, but he had whole storage units of all his masters because when he was at the Mothers of Inventions, he learned the music industry, and ever since that, and I read this in his book, him and his wife, all that stuff you see from Frank Zappa when he was at, him and his wife did all that.
Yep.
He bought all the studio musicians, he paid for all the recording, paid for all the promo. His wife worked at night and he worked during the day. They did everything, owned every single element, anything you can
Yeah,
imagine. He owned it
yeah.
all.
So yeah,
He
it's
ain't
just a matter of time, effort, and energy. Putting in the
exactly,
time, effort, and energy,
Right,
exactly,
and having integrity.
exactly.
Enough
Yeah, exactly.
right.
to not accept an offer that they think you won't refuse. You know,
Exactly. Hmm.
there's a gold rush now in regards
Hmm.
to buying catalogs
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
for the
yep,
last
Hmm.
few years.
Yep.
Dr.
yep.
Dre just sold his for what, 300 mil. You know,
Who?
uh, Dr. Dre.
Oh, Dr. Dre.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. I did hear that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, and it works on both sides. I think maybe Smokey Robinson sold his. I think Elton John, Rod Stewart. You know, uh, but so it's a gold rush to
Hmm.
buy up these catalogs,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing to me how an artist could sell their life's work, their creation. And the catalogs is not only the recordings. Oftentimes, it's your image, is anything
Yeah.
associated with you.
Image and
You
That's
likeness.
know,
Yep.
right. That's
uh,
right.
so that's interesting. And I'm not playing the blame game, but to me, it seems as though there's a lack of integrity.
Without a doubt, man. I
Yeah,
You
think
know
that
what?
I think the same. I think the same thing that we see wrong with this world is what the regime is just a baby of that. You know what I'm saying? A byproduct of it. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just a physical manifestation of in the musical form of business. You know what I'm saying? No integrity, cutthroat. They don't care. They just worry about the money. It's no difference. It's just in a different category.
Mhm.
I don't understand at somebody like Dr. Dre. Like, let's take Dre for example. And dude's catalog is deep. You
Hmm.
know, um,
Right.
what does he benefit from selling his catalog for 300 million? I mean, let's be honest, man. I'm 50. If I'm 51. So if I'm 51, Dre, Dre my age, a little bit older.
Yeah, Dre is about, I think, mid 50s or something like that.
Yeah, like I don't understand selling off your life's work for a sum total of $300 million.
Yeah.
When you could make, let's say you could make 100 million, 150 million over the next 10, 15 years, and you still set for life. Your kids still set for life.
Generational wealth.
Right, right.
However, somebody mentioned
maybe that's integrity. Maybe that's integrity, like you said.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned to me, and I'm not one to gossip, but they mentioned the fact, it is a fact, that he, just went through some divorce proceedings.
Divorce, yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, hey, look, man, that's a whole nother podcast with a whole nother discussion.
I know,
you keep your money in your pocket.
I had to take that into consideration, and so I know the dynamics of all of that.
That's a keep your money in your pocket type of podcast right there, boy.
So I said, wow, okay.
That's a marriage podcast right there.
Right. Back to the intellectual property part of this and owning your stuff. Let's take a group that we all grew up listening to and all love, and look at the battle that they've gone through for decades to get the rights back to their stuff, and that's De La. De La is just now being able to put their stuff on a platform like Spotify and get a fair shake off of it, because for decades they got the shaft when it came to their intellectual property from Tommy Boy. Dude, I mean, I want to say like a 90-10 split, and they were splitting 10. The three of them. Get out of here with that, man. Are you crazy? That is, and you got to think now who this is. It's De La. When they signed, they kids, it's the late 80s. That was a horrible contract they signed. And that's why, Larry, I say I kind of disagree with you. For anybody signing contracts now, we've heard all the horror stories.
The examples are there,
all of the horror stories. And we're talking about horror stories starting in the 80s. So let's just start with De La. De La, number one. Let's move to Tony Braxton. Tony Braxton, number two. Let's move to TLC. TLC number three. Boom. Let's move on to Mace. All the issues.
Mace. DeVoe.
Come on, man. Bell, New Edition. Come on, man. Let's keep on going. Watch this. Let's bring it on home a little more. In Sync. Look at what that dude did to In Sync.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Got them.
Ooh, got them boys, man. That is not knowing what it is that you're signing, but what you think you're getting is the shiny suit. I'm gonna have the shiny suit. I'm gonna have the big house. Well, he's gonna have all your money. Because he's gonna own the publishing. He's gonna be managing all of your money. What you gonna do?
That's interesting because
you gotta walk into a meeting. Any of that, knowing what the hell you want, man.
That's interesting, man, because we I know we're going to talk about culture vultures and we kind of already tapped on it a little bit, but that's like a different kind of vulture right there, because that cat like that, he already, like we've been saying the whole time, he knows the ins and outs of the business. He literally, if I'm not mistaken, put an ad in the paper like, I want to start a boy band. So ultimately, what I'm saying, they're coming in there signing a a contract with already stipulations set up in which they already getting screwed from the jump. They just happy to sing, and what I'm saying. That's even worse.
Then watch this. So let's not and let's not forget, because you talk about the culture vultures. You got still got Leon Cohen over at Def Jam or whatever the hell he's doing there. You got that dude we was just talking about. But hey, man, let's just be honest. Let's not talk about this.
It was unapologetic.
Let's not forget
very much so.
Pebbles.
Disrespectful.
Let's not forget Pebbles. What they did to TLC. Come on now. We do it to ourselves, man. And that's the thing I don't understand. That bag influences people to do the most immoral things to me when it
Yeah,
comes to music, to the
yeah,
music industry.
I
Because the
agree.
pie is big enough for us to all eat if you just
Hmm.
cut it equally.
And
Hmm.
how
You
much
know,
money do you really need? You know,
Exactly,
thank
exactly,
you. At the end of the
exactly.
day, how
and
much
that's
money
the
do
age,
you really need?
and that speaks to the age we're living in now. It's like
Exactly.
so excessive. Money
Hmm.
is gotten so out of hand, and
Hmm.
I'm not going down the rabbit hole, no pun intended. Uh, but but that's probably on a cosmic level why we're in the position globally that we've
Yeah,
been,
I agree.
COVID and
Yeah.
all of
Without a
the
doubt, without a
lessons in
doubt.
this,
When you
and we're
without
failing
when you
miserably, and
have,
everybody's in
yeah,
such a rush to get back to quote unquote normal. No,
yeah,
that
yeah,
that can't happen.
yeah,
We can't resume as we were, you
yeah.
know, uh,
That's
with the
not
thought
normal.
patterns and the inspirations for making money and all of that. It's just
Yeah,
way out of hand. It's
yeah,
way out of hand.
it,
How much do you really need? And that's why uh, housing is unaffordable.
yeah.
Uh,
That's true, man.
Eating is unaffordable. Everything
Hmm.
is just way out of hand.
Come on,
Hmm.
man. Eggs $8, man.
Huh?
Eggs are $8 right
I
now. Come
mean,
on.
and it and it
We
and
know
it
that.
Come on.
still it ultimately it literally goes to like we keep on talking about going back to regime because that regime, you know, is the one that programs this whole system to everything we just talked about. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Everything we just talked about, that's what the regime, the biggest regime, that programs, you know what I'm saying, all this gluttony, all this,
exactly. Yeah.
excessiveness, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and you're right, man. In the universe it seems like it's had enough. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely had enough. It's
You know what
definitely
I'm
had
and
saying?
enough.
and the media as well is uh, partially to blame, if not more,
Oh
actually,
yeah, they part of the regime.
in regards to youth, because
Yeah,
it's like they're dangling carrots in front of the
yeah.
youth in the form of all of these sensational stories
Hmm.
about entertainers and who have just bought these mansions, or
Yeah,
they're overseas, on a yacht and all. That's being just thrust at our youth constantly, and therefore, youth find that although it's appealing, they find that lifestyle unattainable.
yeah, yeah.
You talk about mental health, the mental illness, and suicides.
Hmm.
That plays into that. That
Yeah,
plays into that.
tremendously.
Well,
And it's a wicked cycle that's
You,
happening right now.
you,
And
you know,
again, yeah,
mhm. I have to say this, man. I have to say this. Like this, literally the polka dot rabbit in the room. You know what I'm saying when it comes to a lot of things because
yeah,
I remember when Kanye or Ye was coming out talking all that stuff. And all that stuff about the different things, about the music, about the 808s, about the industry and all the people, all the stuff behind it. You know, it's like, and most of the time when that brother was speaking about that stuff, I was just nodding my head. Like, yeah, you right. You know what I'm saying? He's right. You know what I'm saying? Not about everything, of course, but especially when it came to music and the way that it's people being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? The way that and I bring that up because it seems like because going back to what we're saying, not to get too metaphysical, but considering we are coming into the age of Aquarius, it's like all of the veil is being lifted. You know what I mean? The veil is being lifted because I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, man. If you would have told me all the stuff that I'm starting to learn now about like how a lot of these celebrities, they say they pedophiles and all this kind of stuff like that. If you told me that when I was watching, Christopher Reeves in the '80s watching Superman, or even watching Back to the Future, whatever, in the time frame, I never would have thought about that. You see what I'm saying? But now, like everything's on the forefront. You're like, dang, and it's right in front of us all now. And again, I think that's part of the day and time we're in.
mm,
Revelation,
well,
you know?
man, watch this. I y'all gonna laugh at me for this one. I think once you get to a certain age, every generation has that. Oh, it's revelations. you
every
know,
generation
Well,
will.
I'm not even talking biblically. I'm not even talking biblically. I'm talking
no, I
about,
mean just
yeah.
I
Oh,
think
I see.
we
Awakeness.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. I definitely feel you on that. I just think
Yeah.
we look, man. We have to we have to figure out a way if we're gonna mean something in any of this. Let's just be
Hmm.
honest, okay?
Yeah.
We talk about Elvis. We ain't really want to talk about it, but we gonna talk about him for a second. So
Hmm.
we talked about Elvis's popularity in this country and why it was so
Hmm.
big. And let's just
Hmm.
be honest, Elvis's popularity was so big because they have the numbers.
Exactly.
Okay. We are what, 13% of the population of this country,
Hmm.
you know, and when when the powers that be want
Hmm.
something to be great,
Yep.
more than likely they're going to want it to look like them
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Hmm.
that's going to represent the numbers. You know what has been going on in this country, which I find to be, you can look at it either way, is their numbers are dwindling. So now
Hmm.
what is happening is this brown culture is
Yeah.
starting to rise up on this soil,
Hmm.
and there's really no stopping it,
Hmm.
you know, because their numbers are just continuing to dwindle. Ours are continuing to grow. But here's the thing: in ours growing, how are we gonna feed it?
Mm,
And what are
Hmm.
we gonna feed it?
mm,
Hmm. Well,
What are we gonna feed
it's
these
it's
numbers?
it's it's interesting. It's interesting because like I think somebody was talking about something earlier. I can't remember what it was. I was watching this thing, and it was talking about how, and going back to what Larry says about back in the Chitlin times, and we were doing everything for ourselves. One major reality, and going on and piggybacking what you're saying, T, is that, you know, we have to get back to doing things ourselves in across the board. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Across the board. I'm talking like you said. If it comes down to the musical, I mean, we do it with churches, but that's a whole different ballgame because But we have to literally create ourselves collectively. And Larry, we in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, what, 23 years, and I'm still pretty much there now. When I drive down the street, you know what I'm saying. If when I drive down the West End, you know what I'm saying. That's all I see. It's us doing us. You know what I'm saying. So it's
mhm.
something that can be done, but
Right.
for what everything we're talking about now, it needs to be. We can't be going to them. We can't be going to them expecting us to get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in which some of the people in there, their music, like we said, it's not half as good as some of the people that was their inspiration to get in there
Right.
because of the
Right.
numbers. You know what I'm saying? So we
Right.
gotta, create our own Black Rocket Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? And so on and
Right.
so on. That's a reality of all of that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We got to get back to creating and having respect and honor and dignity for our own stuff.
Right.
now, okay, so I'm going to say this, and it might not be the most positive thing to say, but it's a reality. In
Hmm.
order for us to have, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to plug this thing up before my computer dies. I'm sorry. Um, in order for us to have a Black Rock Hall of Fame, we
Hmm.
have to have enough people who care about it
That's
to
true, man.
actually invest in it.
Hmm.
You know, that guys, that's just a reality.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
until we figure out how to in here's another reality. That is not something that we will be able to do just by ourselves.
Hmm.
It's not, you know. Um you're gonna have to have outside influences be a part of that. And what I
Hmm.
mean is people who don't look like us, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um there's not enough people who care about Black Rock, man. It's not.
Hmm.
We love it. It is part of our musical legacy, the same way that Sam Cooke is, the same way that Al Green is, Marvin Gaye, all the heavy hitters, Smokey Robinson, Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, all of that. That is our legacy. But you know what also is our legacy? Mother's Finest,
Hmm.
um, Fishbone, Bad
Hmm.
Brain, 24/7 Spies, a
Hmm.
band called Death.
Hmm.
All of that
Hmm.
is our musical legacy in this country. And I don't. it really kind of upsets me, man, that we don't within our own community take it serious enough to have these things um, propped up
Hmm.
and and memorialized. You
Hmm.
know, it just it's amazing to me. Watch this. Where's the Hip Hop Hall of Fame?
Good question.
I'll, I'll wait. I will literally wait. Where's the Hip Hop Hall of Fame?
Mm.
Well, I
Right.
mean, realistically speaking, if there was a hip hop Hall of Fame, the two first inductees would be probably Beastie Boys and Eminem, right?
Which is interesting. Uh,
Are you okay?
yeah,
So only if you want the building to get burned down the exact same day.
but
You know, come on, man. Let's just be honest, man. Who should
speaking
be
of
the
it,
first two inductees to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, man?
Hey man,
say
we already
who
know
would
we
be
Who would it be? Who should it be?
the first, in my personal
Yeah,
opinion, let's say the first.
Grandmaster Flash,
Um, yeah, Grand. Oh, yeah, Grandmaster Flash. Yeah,
the
definitely. I'm
first,
with you on
and
that one.
I'll
and
just say the first three:
and Cool Herc.
Cool Herc, Grandmaster Flash,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and what's my boy's name? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Basketball,
Oh, Curtis Blow.
Curtis Blow.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Curtis Blow. Come on, man.
Now
Hmm.
check it out.
Shoot.
You just named three
Hmm.
who would be the inductees to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Now
Hmm.
this is marketing. The
Hmm.
largest selling or the top three selling hip hop albums of all time:
Hmm.
Beastie Boys,
Hmm.
License to Ill.
Vanilla Ice,
Hmm.
and Eminem.
Yeah.
That's
There
marketing.
you go. Yep, that's it. That's the regime.
That.
That's the same folks just went over to the
Yeah.
took over the hip hop. It's the
And it's
same
all
thing.
about the marketing and
Hmm.
sure the the numbers are uh, there as well as in regards to population.
Hmm.
However, it's how you market it.
Yeah,
It's how you market it.
true.
Had
Yeah,
Roy
of course.
Milton had Roy Milton uh, been marketed like Elvis, he would have been Elvis or had the same impact and popularity as Elvis.
Hmm.
You know,
It's it's
but
interesting you even say
it's
that because
marketing.
they,
It's marketing.
yeah, but even like Bob Marley, because y'all know Bob Marley actually they marketed him just like Larry saying as like a rock artist.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And look what happened with him. You know what I'm saying? They put him up front. They said because he was he had that look. You know what I'm saying? But they market him just like he said, just like a rock band.
Put that machine behind him.
They
You
put the
know,
machine behind him, man.
yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
Island
yes.
Records. Yeah, I mean, we could good example in the black world when it comes to music. Living Color. They link up with Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
They got the machine behind them. Next thing you know,
Right,
or every time
right,
you listen, you
right.
turn on the radio, Cult of Personality. I hate other brothers. And I know them cats. That's my
And
homeboys. You know what I'm saying?
and
But
out of all of our favorite bands like that, which band has had the longest, the longevity, the
that's
ability to
them.
stay in the game and
That's
actually
them.
do their thing? Living Color.
That's Living Color. Yep.
Living Color.
Yep.
Mm.
They had Mick Jagger, had a regime behind them, and they were talented musicians, wonderful, wonderful cats. And they did, man. The regime put them in front of the world to show us what we can do, and
Mm.
they
So
and they, and they did it.
is that actually payback then? Because honestly, didn't little Richard let the Rolling Stones sleep on his couch and in his living room when they was on tour in the United
But
States? So that ain't nothing
hey,
but
but
payback,
see,
really.
this is going back to the Elvis thing now, because
That
like
ain't,
me and Larry
that
would
ain't
talk
nothing but
about
payback.
me and Larry we would talk about we were talking about this on even when we Kennito and Billy when we were all talking and we were down in Atlanta. It's like when I watched that movie, I had to do research to find out they just making stuff up about Elvis. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
come to find out, a lot of the black folks that they said he knew him. He grew up
Yeah,
around black
yeah,
folks. He bought his cook a house. He was buying people Cadillacs, all this stuff, because like he was like what we call him, like a wigger. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Elvis was a wigger before a wigger was a wigger. But
yeah. He was
the thing
Eminem
is,
before Eminem was Eminem.
yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So So in saying all that, I say all that in there because of, it's not the actual person, you know what I'm saying? It's the
Right,
regime behind,
right, right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
Even Elvis is probably, from what my research, that's a good example. Elvis was cool, you know what I'm saying? But, everything behind him pushed it, you know what I'm saying? To the regime pushed him to his
Yes,
heights.
yeah, it's
It
all in the
killed him.
marketing. It's all
All in the marketing. It's
it's
all in the
simple
marketing.
advertising, you know,
Yeah, exactly. You know,
marketing ploys, and
and that is
because
why.
so I never blame the artists, you know.
yeah,
I don't,
exactly,
I
exactly.
don't blame the Beatles. I
It's
don't
the
blame the
regime,
Rolling
man.
Stones, you know.
Hmm.
Although, you know, you ain't gonna just force on me the idea that the Beatles and the Rolling Stones are the greatest rock and roll bands ever.
Man, shoot.
When
Man,
the
shoot.
Beatles were doing terrible interpretations of rhythm and blues,
Right,
Exactly,
but
exactly.
it's
exactly,
how they're marketed, and I get
exactly.
that. For their part, though, when you would interview them, Beatles, Rolling Stones, Elvis, they
Always
would
need
they
props.
would uplift their
Hmm.
influences. They were candid about their influences, even to the
Right,
point where they would take them out on the road in hopes
Exactly.
that
right, right.
that there would be some kind of reconciliation because they
Hmm.
understood the harsh treatment that these
Yeah,
black artists had
Yes.
exactly.
experienced, but to no avail because as Anthony you pointed out, Major wasn't having that.
No,
Yeah.
Major was not having that at all.
Major Tom, I think it
Major
was.
was having none of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. Oh,
No
the
way.
Colonel. I'm sorry, not the not
Colonel,
the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The colonel, the
Colonel.
colonel was having
Yeah.
none of that.
But yeah. So it's ultimately all about the marketing, and with that
And
said,
see, watch, and see,
huh?
Larry, when you bring up the marketing aspect, that once again leads us back to owning your trademark, owning
Yeah,
your copyright,
Yeah.
owning
Yeah.
all of these things, making sure you have your publishing, because these people are coming to get those things from you.
yeah,
That's what they want.
Yeah.
That's how you fund your later years, is with your publishing and all that type of stuff, because those are your mailbox checks.
Mhm.
And for people to continue, they honestly, man, the industry has everybody by the balls right now.
yeah.
Like you were talking about earlier, Zoe, all these people signing the 360 deals and having to,
Hmm.
sign with this company or that company. And then it's like,
Hmm.
what, three, four?
Yeah,
How many record companies were they when we were young? I mean, and when I mean young, I mean relatively, when we were in our
yeah, yeah,
20s,
yeah.
come on, man, it was a slew of record companies.
Mhm.
There was all these different things popping off, and now it's just whittled down to, you know, all right, you can go over here, or you can go over there. If you want to be on a major, these are the four majors you can deal with over here.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it doesn't even behoove a true artist to do that. It's
Mhm.
almost like, well, hey, let me try to niche me out something on the local market and see if I can drag it into a couple of states and
Mhm.
do
Mm.
a regional thing like that. I think that's the best thing for any artist right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Grassroots.
yeah. I
Do
agree.
a grassroots thing.
Yeah, man.
Don't
Yeah.
sell your
How much money
soul.
do you need
Right. And
to
watch
survive
this.
and put away? You know,
How much
to
money do you
create some wealth.
need, and how much what's the word I'm looking for? See, I'm so horrible with words. So how much money do you need, and how much ass kissing do you need? How many
Hmm.
people do you need praising you all the time?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because watch this. The average cat who could say, I go out, I play with my band, we play, maybe about 30 weekends out of the year. I can maybe, come home with 60, 70,000. Shit. I'm
Hmm.
good. I don't know about nobody else,
Right.
but I'm
Right.
Hmm.
good.
Yeah.
70,
Hmm.
60, 70,000
Yeah.
dollars a
Yeah.
year playing music. Come on, man. I'm happy. I can be
Right.
comfortable like that. But
Right.
I'm me.
I,
So it is,
yeah.
Larry, like you said, how much money do you need?
Yeah.
How is it about the art, or is it about the bag? You know, Biggie said
Hmm.
it. Shit, I don't even understand why people didn't get it when he said it. More money, more problems. I don't even understand why y'all want the
Thank you.
bag so bad.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, I don't understand the
Yeah.
bag. You
And
know, at
and
the end
and
of the day, you're not taking it and putting it in the damn coffin with you. So why do you want the bag so bad?
right, right. And that's changing because once you get that bag, you basically these days you're a target
Ooh, ooh.
in so many ways.
It's just putting it on you, man. Just going and what Chuck D had the joint on his back when what was the DJ's name? Whose DJ was that was in the bullseye on the Public Enemy logo?
Oh,
That's somebody's DJ from back in the day. Yeah, but you might as well have that on your back when you got the
right,
bag now,
right,
man.
right, right.
Yeah, you might as well have the logo on your back with the target because they coming
Right.
after you, man. You
So
know,
yeah,
the smartest cats are the cats who do not, flaunt that shit, man. I don't know why we have gone back down that road. I thought we were done with that.
but
You
might
know,
you might want to follow
own
the
it, but
example.
don't flaunt it.
Might want to follow the example of those the Silicon Valley 80-year-old guys who created, the internet, who walking around with torn up jeans, no belt, and topsiders,
Well,
no
well,
socks.
Larry, you
You
mentioned
never know.
somebody earlier who is, and a lot of people don't even know the dude, man. Byron
Oh,
Allen.
Byron Allen. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Come on, man. Byron Allen is
yeah,
we know
he,
what he is. I'm
yeah.
not even gonna speak
And,
on what the dude
yeah,
is for real.
he's a trailblazer. He's been committed
Yeah,
for
come
a
on,
long.
man.
Well, you're old enough. Do you remember the first time I saw Byron Allen was on a show called That's Incredible. Uh,
Come on, man. In
you remember that,
in
right?
the late 70s, early 80s, man. Come on,
Yeah,
bro.
and that was just amazing for me
Right.
then to see this brother in such a prominent. I mean, he wasn't like
Right.
special guest. No, he was
Yes.
part of their team, and I
Right.
think it was like who, Kathy Lee Crosby or whatever.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
but so that's how long he's been around, and just put on the Griot Awards. I encourage both of you because it's on YouTube now to pull up the Griot Awards.
No, I'm gonna check that out,
Just
man. You
recently
got me
happened.
already. I already wrote that down. You got me
Yeah,
definitely.
and
Let me see it.
the Griot Awards. You can pull it up on YouTube. Phenomenal display of excellence in the arts, black
Word.
excellence in the arts. And I know black excellence is a buzz term now, but it was really done well. It wasn't pretentious. It was
Good.
excellent across the
Good.
board, and it wasn't just us just kind of being over exaggerative. You know what I'm saying? It
Right,
was
right, right.
it wasn't pretentious, man.
Well,
It was
that's
powerful.
beautiful, man, because I
It was
think
beautiful, and it was Byron Allen, and they were thanking him and talking about his history, as humble as he was, from the stage, man. And I mean, you
dude,
know,
that
didn't
guy
hear
is
it, but
incredible,
I was like,
man.
wow, okay, I learned more about it.
Watch this, because watch it. You can laugh as soon as I say this, because we from the same age bracket. Because we've all woke up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and caught that Byron Allen special guest sitting on the couch
Yeah,
joint that he used to do in the middle of the night. And then
actually,
when you
that he's running that on his station, the Griot
wow,
Comics Unleashed.
dude, when you realize how he actually created his bag by selling his product but owning all of the rights to like the commercials and stuff, he was getting all of that money because he owned everything. And that's the thing we look full circle that we
Yeah,
started this conversation talking
yeah,
about intellectual property,
yeah.
owning what you do. These artists, man, no matter, like I said, no matter if you're doing hip hop, rock, no matter whether you're a dancer, no matter whether you're a graffiti artist, no matter whether you're a painter, whatever, if you do yourself any justice, make sure that if you create a logo, put a trademark on it. If you do something, make sure you have a copyright on it. You write a song, you do a poem, anything like that, make sure you copyright it. Do a poor man's copyright. Take it, put it in the mailbox, mail it back to yourself. It's called a poor man's
Well, I mean, it's
copyright.
copyrighted. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's the easiest way to make sure that your intellectual property continues to stay yours.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta own what it is that you create. Look, man, my favorite band ever, and I didn't know this, and you know, I'm just gonna say this. It's a couple of bands that we love, man. They don't even own their own logo.
Mm.
Come on, man. What you mean you don't own your
Right.
own logo? So you selling merch, you selling things that have this logo on it, and you're not even the person making the money because you don't own the logo.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the music business, and ownership is a big part of business. You have to own the intellectual property in order to reap the rewards from it.
Mm-hmm.
And not enough people understand that. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna go in here, I'm gonna rap, I'm gonna put these bars down, and then they don't even copyright the bars. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a shame that I hear brothers today talk about publishing deals and how they didn't know anything about publishing when they got into the game. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Owning your property. And once again, I and I know it's not popular, but hey man, I blame you if you don't have it, if you don't know.
Yeah.
Prince walked around with slave on his face in what year? 91, 92, 93?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've seen that since then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've
Yeah.
been hearing about it for decades now, and somehow they still getting us. Well, they're not getting
Yeah.
me, they're getting some other people. But
Yeah,
So,
I know.
Anthony, if there
It's
was
no
any,
excuse. You know, you're right. It is no excuse, man.
well, if
It
there was
is.
anything to take from this, because this can be a teachable moment as well.
Yeah.
Is to it is a business. The old
Yeah.
adage
Exactly.
that the music business is what 80% business,
Mm-hmm.
right?
80% business and 20%
Yeah.
talent.
So handle it. You
Right,
basically.
You know,
right.
it's
Uh,
interesting to me. It's interesting to me because I look at everything you described, Larry, starting from the jump, even kind of like the same time frame, even like dealing with sports, like when the Negro League was popping. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? You have almost the same exact thing. The Chitlin Circle of baseball is no difference. They're touring all over the United
Yep.
States, right? Playing baseball, all black umpires, all black audience, whatever the case may be,
co-opted.
right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get um, Jackie Robinson, who was the experiment to start the integration to cripple it. So now he's the head, the person that comes to integration in the baseball. And what happened to the Negro League? You know what I'm
Gone.
saying?
Yeah, it
Gone.
Well,
dissolved. Yeah.
the bag happened to the Negro
Yeah,
Leagues.
exactly. Because they saw the money. Exactly.
Right, the
It's
bag.
it's the same. It's the same thing. Same playbook
Yeah.
over and over
And now
again.
look at the percentage of black men who actually play MLB.
Yeah, exactly,
Look at the
exactly.
percentage of actual
But
brothers
and
who
and,
actually play in the league.
and peep this. So you got somebody like and it's all this is all interconnected. You got Deion Sanders. He was at a HBCU, bringing all these great athletes there, right? And then next thing you know, they're like, oh well, this is the team's in the championship. Remember me and Larry, we were listening to it in the car. Um, they got the his team go to the championships. All these recruits are coming there, and instead of and not saying it's his fault, of course, but if that template was placed through HBCUs, imagine what type of talent they'd have in HBCUs. But no, you know what I'm saying? The regime comes in, you know what I'm saying, gives an offer, now he's in Colorado. You know what I'm saying? That's not even saying it's his fault, but let's look at what happened if he stayed and duplicated that. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? It's,
Well, that's
going
what
back
I
to the
think.
point. Hmm.
That's funny. I think that's what I'm not always a fan of dude, but I think that's what Roland Martin had said.
Hmm.
It's like if you actually we are at a point now in black culture in this country where if we start placing ourselves strategically, we
Hmm.
actually funnel the money back into our own community.
Yeah.
Like you said, if Deion Sanders goes in and teaches and coaches at a HBCU, if
Hmm.
Barry Allen, but no, what's Barry Sanders goes
yeah.
and coaches somewhere, if
Hmm.
if you go to these places, then you start drawing in the talent. When you start drawing in the talent, you start drawing in the money.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. And we
Yeah.
we tend to do what most people do. We tend to vote against our own best interest. And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
don't know why
Yeah.
we do that sometimes.
I
So,
I I I saw something recently. I don't know if it's true or not, but I did see it online that what's the brother that they were trying to him up saying he was what's the brother from the Nets? What's his name?
you talking about Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie. Okay.
Yeah, you
I don't
talking
know
about
if it's
Kyrie.
true or not. I hope it's true, but they were saying that since Nike got rid of him, he's talking to black shoemakers to
Yeah, 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 he is. He
sponsor
is.
them.
Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
think I read something about. Well, not. I
Yeah.
think I
Okay.
read
So
something about
now
that.
think
Yeah.
about that. Think about that. Instead of, what I'm saying, it's the same. It's the same thing. If we instead of going out asking for the handout, it's going against the system that the regime and the program set up. Simply, you got somebody's got they put their they put their head at they put their neck out there. Kyrie put his neck out there. Kanye put their neck out
Right.
there. They're like, yo, this ain't right. This is how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And it takes that something like that to spark the conversation for things to
Right.
actually happen. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? That's why I applaud both those brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? Because hey man, they're like, yo, you know, this is
Well, I
how I
think.
feel, this is how it is.
Well, I mean, I don't watch this, man. We all grew up. It's funny because I was watching a episode of either the Jeffersons or All in the Family. It was one of
Hmm.
those episodes where the Jeffersons were on All in the Family, Archie Bunker and them.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
funny thing was, uh, dude, none of that stuff could be on TV right now because everybody would be like, "Oh my
Oof.
God, I can't believe they said
Yeah,
that!"
yeah,
Oh,
Oh
right, right,
no,
yeah.
and they'd fall all to pieces and shit.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
brother, damn man, I'm sorry. That one just kind of got me.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna do, man. I really don't
Hmm.
know what we're gonna do. We
Well,
got to figure out something
well,
to,
yeah.
to
I like what you touched on in regards to grassroots. I
Hmm.
I consider myself an eternal optimist. And
Hmm.
although it seems as though the path ahead is dark, sometimes it's perception. You have to go through it to get to it. And again, my platform is about having a sense of integrity, maintaining
Yeah,
integrity at every cost, at
yeah.
every cost. Um,
Hmm.
Anthony, I know you espouse. Um, Inform yourself. It's all here, right?
Hmm.
right in
You
front
know,
of you.
that's what it's about. That's what it's about. So I think we're on a. This has been a great conversation, uh, and we're on a good path. Perhaps we should come back in the not too distant future and add some more folks to the mix and consider further the conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, and the suggestion. Um, y'all are familiar with the Black Rock Coalition. Perhaps have
Of course.
a representative, one of the founders from the Black Rock Coalition, in on the conversation at some point. Um,
You, yeah, yeah, and I already I had an interview with James Spooner from Afropunk, and we would talk about he was in our conversation. If anybody's watching this, please go watch it because we were going into a certain degree about growing up in the punk scene in the scene and being one of the and he was even his story is crazy. He was like in Arizona or something like that, and he was like in the
Oof.
desert. Yeah, he said he
yeah,
was
Oof.
he was on the shows with Nazis and stuff, and they had to go to school with him, and all this kind of crazy stuff. Like I thought my story was crazy, man, good gracious. But but he has a very interesting perspective on all this as well. Um, maybe next time we do link up, I'll ask him to come on and we could talk about it. But he has a very interesting perspective on this on numerous levels, and he's kind of like because once he started Afropunk and where it is now, he's like embracing the Browning of the scene and them embracing what we all love, on the highest level I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Collectively,
mm,
you know. because Afro
It's
punk
got to
was,
be.
Afro punk, was the first time I was ever could see myself around other people like T, like Cheese, like Billy, like all these black rockers I know, collectively come together, especially the early Afro punk. I
Mm,
never seen nothing like that before. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
I'll I'll tell you something that kind of, and I'll go ahead and admit it. I can't believe I'm gonna admit this. It kind of makes me mad now that these kids get to walk around in vans and skateboard and do all that shit, and they don't get clowned for doing it like we did when we were young back in the day. Like, oh, for real? You wearing
White
vans?
boy,
You wearing white boy
white boy.
shoes?
wow,
Oh,
that's
oh, for
interesting.
real? You're listening to Anthrax? These kids, why ain't man? It makes me so mad sometimes because these kids be walking around and they'll have on like a Def
Quit
Leppard
hating,
t-shirt, and I'll be like, "Yo, what's your favorite Def Leppard song?" And they'll be like,
huh?
"What are you talking about? I just
I
like the
like
shirt." I'm like,
leopards.
"Oh man, come on, man, take the shirt off, man. Don't do that." But they get to do all these cool things, man, that we didn't get to do without getting clowned on back in the day. And it kind
Wow.
of, so
I,
I'm
you
kind of
know,
envious about that. I'm kind
it
of
was
Yeah,
envious.
it was
stop hating.
interesting. In I'm out of Houston, Texas, from a predominantly black neighborhood, all black
Mm,
neighborhood,
mm,
and that was kind of like our thing.
mm.
We were doing that. We were wearing the Vans, man. We were skateboarding. We were wearing shirts from rock concerts, and we actually
Mm.
knew the music, and I'm talking
Right,
about,
right, right.
when Van
Yeah,
Halen, Judas Priest, Iron
yeah, yeah,
Maiden
yeah,
were kings, Triumph, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Were
yeah, yeah.
kings then, and we knew the music at the same time. We were well versed in the funk and
Yeah.
Zap, Roger and
yes,
Zap,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
and well versed as well in the early hip hop, So it was an
Hmm.
interesting mix in Houston, but we never had, and especially like what was considered new wave, Devo, and that
Right.
whole
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
genre,
Well, see,
subgenre.
Yeah. Ain't
I
like
had
that
a
in Virginia,
core.
right, T? Ain't like that in
No,
Virginia,
well,
right?
Yeah, so that's interesting to hear though.
Yeah, yeah.
the
That's
thing for me in being from Chester was
yeah.
like I had the homeboys from my street, like I
Yeah.
had like Boogie, Corey, Jeff, Bobby, and them who kind of they knew me, so they knew
Hmm.
all, and he over there, he and the Prince and
Yeah.
all that
Right.
kind of new,
Yeah.
like you said, Devo, and he be listening to Blondie and watching
Yeah.
MTV and all that shit.
Hmm.
And they were listening, they were more into hip hop and all that, but they never gave me any level of disrespect because they were from my area and we knew
Yeah.
each other
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Now, when you
Yeah.
go to school, that's a totally different
Different
situation.
story.
Now, the dudes that not from your neighborhood kind of sizing you up and looking at you all funny.
Hmm.
Oh, this dude over here wearing a trench coat, listening to Prince and all,
Yeah.
listening. Then he
Hmm.
listening to Anthrax. What's going on with this? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's I,
And I was
We
pop
didn't
rock.
have that. We didn't have that. Yep. We didn't have that safe haven like Afro punk.
yeah,
You
one
know
no
what I'm
safe
saying?
haven,
Wow, that's
No,
and
we
it
didn't have
was,
interesting,
that.
man. But
and then you got to explain yourself. You got to explain
Exactly.
yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Why you
Exactly.
listening to this? What you mean? Why I
Hmm.
got it?
yeah.
What you mean? Why
What you
am I
think you
listening to
white?
it? Yeah.
You
Oh,
Oreo?
there you go. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. He
Oh
the
man,
white boy.
how
He the
can't
white
you
boy.
say it?
Yeah, yeah. That's what you get.
Yeah, right.
That's
That's the title of a
But
book.
Larry, you're brother, you're right. We need to do this again, and we
Yeah,
need to
absolutely,
involve
absolutely.
some more people on it.
Because again, these are teachable moments, and somebody
Yeah,
might
exactly.
check this out. So all is not lost.
No,
No,
well, no,
no, you know what?
All is
we
not
we
lost.
You're
we
the
we we
optimist.
have a certain responsibility, especially, and that's why I love. That's why I'm so happy T is on here too. But man, I love Larry because he's just like encyclopedia of music. Man, it's so deep and has so much depth. And you know what I'm saying? It's just people. We need to document this fact about what we're talking about, and give us and set the record straight with the musical timeline, historically. Not even a
Right.
timeline, but just the timeline too. You know.
That's beautiful. I definitely like Larry being on here because I feel like he's the me and Larry are the yin and the yang.
Which is the
He's
balance.
the
Yeah.
optimist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the optimist. He's all about life, and then I'm here I am. I'm the Grim Reaper coming with the reality and
you're practical.
in the sniper in my
You know,
hand.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let
yeah.
me
You
give you some of
practical.
this
Yeah,
death
that's a good way
real
to put it.
quick.
Now you practical. Hey, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah. Man, this
That
was
sounds good, but
you're the one that
yeah,
slaps
it
folks around.
sounds
Hey,
good, but let me show you.
wake
Let
up,
me,
get it
let me
right.
give you something.
Get it
yeah,
right,
yeah,
son.
yeah, yeah.
But hey, Joe, man, this is a great platform. Keep up the great necessary work.
Yes, Joe.
Brother
Please,
Anthony,
man. Please.
pleasure meeting you, man. Hope God willing and the creek don't rise. I'll see you in the flesh sooner than later.
Oh no, brother, you can see me in the flesh real soon, Larry. We can sit down and chop it up, brother. It was beautiful meeting you tonight, man. Thank you.
Hey, likewise, and safe travels too, and keep up the great necessary work. Much success with the business endeavors.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Zozer, keep doing this,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Anything
Yes,
I can
sir.
do for you, man, you know I got your back all the time, man.
I
Always.
appreciate it. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Like I tell people all the time, I kind of just started to do this for fun, but then, you start to realize how important having voices like we have on here it is to be
Yes.
heard. So, I'm just got to keep on rolling with it, and I'm going to be coming out I talked to Gary Lama today. What I'm saying, we're gonna start working on my second book, and so just always putting the contact and all that content out there and information for the people, man. That's what it's all about. Each one
Right on.
teach one. You know what I'm
And where
saying?
can
Each one teach
where
one.
can folks pick up the book?
Oh, just go to polkadot rabbit podcast.com for
Right on.
bicultural living and leaving the
Respect.
world of illusions.
Respect.
But yeah, I got number 2 book coming out. I think in spring. That's what it's looking like. After I spoke to him today. So yeah, but I'm gonna stick with him. He made it very easy to put this book out. He knows what he's doing. So I'm gonna stick with Gary Lama on that one, and we're gonna make it happen again. So
Right on. Right on. Right on.
yes, sir.
All right, folks.
But that
Y'all rest well.
yeah, that's
Appreciate
it.
you.
That's
Zozo,
it
like
for
you
us.
said, brother, like you
Yeah.
said,
Peace
man,
and
each
love.
one
Hmm.
teach one. We got to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Each one teach one. All right.
Peace
And
out.
just to the world, you might be seeing you might get used to seeing some of our faces together us right now because we might have a little something for y'all in the future. So just
Mm-hmm.
planting that seed right now. You know what I'm
Oh, the
saying?
tracks are coming. Don't play
Yeah.
with them. The
Right
tracks are
on.
coming. It's gonna be something brand new, brother. I got you. I got
All
you.
Indeed.
right,
It's
y'all.
about
Love and
time,
light,
man.
man.
Look. Yeah, I've been away from the mic too long, man. It's time, man. It's time. It's time. But
Brother, y'all have a
that's it
beautiful
for us.
night, man.
Yeah, man. Polka Dot Rapid Podcast. Please follow, like, and share. And we out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Respect.
Peace. Ease it on.